Welcome to Losail Circuit, welcome to Qatar, and this is the launch of the 2020 Honda Fireblade SP and this thing gives me a bit of a twingy gusset because we've got an all new engine, 215 horsepower, all new chassis, much better electronics, we've got wings, and there's a lot on paper to like about, and this is one of the most anticipated bikes of 2020, so let's go and ride it.
So, let's say this is probably the most anticipated motorcycle of the last 3 years, maybe even 4 years?
Maybe even more, yeah. Probably, well, since probably the V4 Ducati, yeah. And let's be honest, Honda have struggled. And the last time I remember Honda being at the top of the pile is 2008 when they bought the original, you know, the original out.
Yeah, there's one over there.
One over there for sale in Motorline. But yeah, it's been a long time coming. And every time I've gone on the launch of a Honda Fireblade, the Honda has said, yeah, it's better and it's this and that, and it is better, but it's just not as good as the rivals.
So now, do we have something to fight with?
The Fireblade is back. Fresh slicks. I've got such a boner for this. That's tiny. No key. Ah, right. Okay. The pegs are really high. I mean, they were high before on the blade, but this is high. Here we go then. Oh, the blipper and the shifter feels lush. Oh, definitely needed first gear there. I can tell you now, this hasn't got the grunt of a BMW at the bottom, that's for sure. We've got a couple of sighting laps behind Freddy 4A, just to sort of ease into it. New slicks, new brake pads. And we're in sport mode to start off with. Well, that blipper is just sexy. Just gonna try and find some space. It's a bit busy, we need some video and pictures. That front end is incredibly sexy. I can already tell you, this front end is one of the yeah, one of the best in the business. Feels very good on the brakes, assured, stable. And I tell you, agility isn't going to be a problem with this bike. Horrible corner. That's better. First gear. Go on, Freddie. Go on, lad. say this front end is absolutely delicious. It feels so planted, so confidence inspiring, and the motor is nothing special, you know. I mean that in the nicest possible way. There's no sort of VTEC or variable valve timing or shit cam. It just does what it does without any devices. I mean, there's no mid-range or bottom end, absolutely nothing. And it's all at the top, but that'll do. Nige. I just might think the blade is back. Welcome to the 2020 Honda Fireblade. So Honda wanted this to be the most track-focused Fireblade ever, and there's lots of talk about the comparisons between the RC213 VS, the sort of MotoGP replica. There's lots of similarities in the fact that the bore and stroke is the same. We've got a claimed 215 horsepower, which is a 13% increase over the old model. Also, the extra power brings a 10% power to weight ratio improvement, and all that power is done. There's no kind of trickery, Gucci technology. All the power is done via reducing friction, better breathing, and higher RPM. So all the power is at the top end. All that power is above 7,000 RPM. Now, if you can look here, I can actually fist. I'm actually fisting the intake. Now this here, they've removed the key barrel, so it's smart key technology, so it's keyless. Some of you won't like it, I know. In doing so, that gives more space to give a bigger air intake, so obviously more air going in, bigger bang, etc. So at 215 horsepower, Honda reckons or claim this is the most powerful inline-4 in production. And that comes with forged titanium rods, piston jets fire oil onto the pistons at high RPM, and the 52mm throttle bodies are now 4mm bigger from the 48mm puppies. In terms of the chassis, we've got an all-new frame, all-new swing arm, and the swing arm itself is 30.5mm longer. So obviously the wheelbase is longer. We've got Brembo stylomer calipers on the front, and the discs are 10mm bigger, just to cope with the extra speed and the grip from the stylomers. And in terms of electronics, these have been drastically improved over the old bike. So we've got 3 riding modes: track, sport, and rain, and they can be adjusted. I mean, the adjustability is infinite, almost infinite. There's so much you can do. Obviously, you've got traction control, or Honda torque control, as it's known. Now that is 9 levels plus off. You have 3 levels of anti-wheelie. We have ABS. You've got track and road settings. There's also launch control. So you can set it at 6,000, 7,000, 8,000, and 9,000 RPM. And that is all controlled by a 6-axis IMU. Now previously it was 5, but this is now the full 6. And onto the aero then. This is another big talking point. So those winglets, there's no numbers involved like you get with Ducati and Aprilia. There's no kind of downforce figures as such, but the downforce levels are apparently the same as Marquez and his GP bike. So, I mean, we didn't have any issues today. It's super stable, particularly on the brakes, and in a straight line. You're doing close to 180 miles an hour on this straight here. In terms of suspension, we've got Öhlins Smart EC2 again, but the introduction of the pressurized fork like we have with the R1. Now, Chris was raving about that the other day when he rode the R1. I say the other day, last year when he rode the new R1 in Jerez. And this is much of the same. Really, really plush, really, really solid on the brakes, and you get that pressurized feeling. And it's all semi-active, so it has the Öhlins predictive technology. You can set your 3 modes to be all track if you want. You don't have to be track, sport, and rain. You can have everything to track, and you can have various settings. So when the tyres goes off, you can have a higher traction control setting, and the same if you want more engine braking, you can switch it on the fly. So you don't have to mess about, close the throttle, any of that nonsense. It's all done at the touch of a button, really. So particularly if you want more engine braking going into a certain corner, press a button. Yeah, much, much improved. And finally, the Akrapovic system. So this is kind of a bit of a special partnership. The exhaust valve kicks in at $7,000. It's like a VTEC. You get this, and you can it's really noticeable, really tangible at any speed. You know, you start it up and you think, oh, it sounds a bit guff. Open it up, coming down here, it sounds like a race bike. So it's going to be interesting to see what we get with noise levels back in the UK, but anyway, let's go riding.
Okay, so talk me through what weaponry we have on this brand new
It is
motorcycle.
brand new. Yeah, I mean,
It's not a V4.
It's not a V4, no. Despite what some publications write about. And I don't think we'll ever see a V4 in a Fireblade form. It'd be called something else. But anyway, this is back to the best. It's so fast. It's easily fast enough.
Okay. Easily fast enough.
There won't be a faster bike in a straight line once it gets going. And I use once it gets going because there's nothing at the bottom end.
It's a bit revvy.
It's very revvy. It is. Honda wanted this to be the most track-focused Fireblade ever, and it is. Simple as that.
So do you think the mission from Honda then was we need to win some races, so we're going to make a homologated engine and just go?
100%. You know, it's all done on kind of clever engineering and sort of basic combustion engines. You know, there's nothing.
Suck, piss, pop, bang.
Suck, squeeze, bang, blow. I think is the one.
Not suck, pick, suck, piss, pop, bang.
You can if you want on a Friday night. I mean,
we all have.
Yeah. But yeah, so it's very fluffy at the bottom, and it's almost like a VTEC. When the exhaust valve opens up at 6-7 grand, it goes.
Because you're never there on track, are you? You're never there.
No, but I mean, there's corners at Qatar where I had to use first gear instead of second gear, and
it did seem massively long gears, like
this is it.
Holding fourth on the straight.
Yeah, holding fourth on the straight.
It's not a short straight either, is it?
And the dash goes, you may have seen, the dash goes blank, or it stops at 299 kilometers an hour. So fourth gear, 299 kilometers an hour is an acclaimed 180, isn't it?
It's ridiculous. There must be an inaccuracy there somewhere. There must like maybe it had a track race tyre on or whatever, wasn't calibrated, because the Panigale was doing at the Bahrain straight was just about clicking 300 in sixth.
Yeah. You asked me, is it fast enough? It is easily fast enough. And I can't see, the BMW at the top is very quick, the Aprilia is very quick, etc. But that Honda, once it gets going, it will easily be enough.
Okay. Does it still have the inherent character? Because the last Fireblade, the last version of the Fireblade was actually pretty good.
It was.
We tested it at Jerez.
Yeah.
It's actually a really nice package. Very calm. Chassis was excellent. Very easy to use. The power, very good on the side of the tyre. Very nice bike.
It felt, it was a bit too nice, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And it wasn't fast enough. Now they've managed to keep that feeling. So it's like, as I said in the live thing, this is the fastest 600 you'll ever ride, because it feels like a 600 in its size, in its kind of flickability. There's nothing else out there that has this bike's agility. The agility is, I think it's, you know, we're talking BMW with carbon wheels and fancy gizmos. This Fireblade, this 2020 Fireblade, is exquisite in change of direction. It's just seamless.
Because even the older bike, it was so down on power, yet it would still be getting some of the highest speed trap numbers because it could exit the corner so much faster. So if they've applied that same basis, that same sort of rule book, if you like, and given it the welly, sounds pretty good.
Well, I think for me, the highlight was the chassis and the front end. I mean, yes, we were running on slicks, but the liberties that I could take on that front end. Now, some of that must have something to do with the wings. As you've experienced firsthand, wings do work.
They do.
It's not just trifle.
Yeah.
But there's something. There must be something with that, because you know there's lots of geometry changes and the way the chassis is, because it's an all new frame. But what that front end can do and the hammering it can take, I can't see it being beaten.
Right.
It's really
That's interesting.
In terms of pushing into a front end, pushing into a corner.
Let's just remind everyone though, that was the SP bike.
Yes.
So that has the active Öhlins Evo 2 stuff, which is appearing on the Panigale, it's on the R1M, it's basically a pretty bloody good setup.
But, and I remember talking to you about this, the R1, it's got the pressurised forks.
Yeah.
Whereas the Ducati hasn't, has it?
No, don't know.
No, it hasn't apparently, according to the guys at Öhlins.
Right, okay.
So the R1, it's basically the forks from the R1.
Nice.
Oh my word.
Nice,
I think a lot of that has something to do with the fact that this bike now comes with pressurised forks. What you can do on the brakes, you know, you were raving about the R1. And I'll tell you what, this is the first time, I mean, the Smart EC2, that second incarnation was the first time I thought, you know what, I take electronic suspension over manual. Manuel.
Burro. Pina colada.
Burro. Manual suspension, and the test riders. So the Öhlins test riders. This is the first time these forks is set up on this bike. They're faster, 0.5 of a second faster, with the active suspension, the electronic suspension, over the manual.
Which is interesting because that's exactly what Aprilia are claiming.
Yes.
On the new RSV4 factory, half a second, and all they've done is switch to the Öhlins active.
I mean, it's almost twat-proof because, all the dash, you've got corner entry, so brake support, you've got mid-corner, which is general stiffness, you've got corner exit, which is obviously the shock, the shock, the stiffness and softness, and obviously then you've got you can't adjust rebound by itself, you can't adjust compression by itself, but you don't need to. It's literally, by the press of a button, you can just get it on the dash, and it's all quite, and talking of adjustability, that dash and the way you can adjust it is right up there with anything else. You can adjust, you can have various modes set, you don't have to shut the throttle to press a mode or to change stuff, you can do it all on the fly. Nice. So you can change suspension, engine braking, Honda torque control.
So all sounds very racy.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's literally, this is what we need to do, we need to win some races.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that must have been, for the first time, I mean, obviously Honda and the Japanese are quite conservative anyway, aren't they? They're very, this is the way we do it by the book, etc., etc. But this is no holds barred. They have gone balls deep.
You're only going to sell 200 superbikes per manufacturer a year, unless you're Ducati, who bundle in all the Panagolas into one. But 200 to 300 in the UK.
Yeah.
That's it. So you think, well, hang on, how much does it cost to develop a bike, bring it to market? It's not for the consumer. It's to have a halo product, which then people buy into the brand of Honda because it won World Superbikes.
And I think, people are moaning about the price like you wouldn't believe, and it's $23,995. But
for the SP.
For the SP.
But it sounds like the standard bike, which doesn't have the Öhlins active stuff, doesn't even have a quick shifter, does it?
No, and that's a major issue. For a 20 grand bike, and you haven't even got a quick shifter on there, there's something desperately wrong. But as the SP, let's talk about the SP, that's the bike we rode. $23,995 is a lot of money. That is one of very few things that is wrong with this bike. So last time we were in sport mode, and now we are in track mode, I believe. Are we in track mode now? Is it being changed? Yeah, cool, thanks. Oh, you sexy thing. Suspension feels good over this little wobble. Hey. Bit deep there, Nige. My God, this is the fastest 600 I've ever ridden. Struggling with rear grip a little bit. Here we go, Freddie. have to rev this puppy, but it's alright, she likes abuse. I've got a feeling this is going to be fast around the lap. The only thing that's doing my head in is with those legs, those pegs are so high. It's too high. Just had a very light luncheon because I don't want to be spewing the hummus and chicken going into turn 1. So I made some changes, going to change the engine braking, and we also messed about the suspension as well, made it a bit stiffer, and yeah, let's give it a whirl. Oh, fresh rubber. Oh yeah. Oh, I can taste hummus. There's one thing this bike needs is some stomp grips.
Okay, so we've established price is a bit of an issue.
Yeah.
Anything else wrong with it?
Well, as I may have alluded to in the vloggage when I was out there, it's the size of it. You know,
I mean, you're not massively tall,
no,
but it looked pretty small underneath you.
It's tiny. There's lots of room. You know, there's lots of. It's not a cramped bike as such, but the pegs are so high.
Like ZX-10R high?
Oh, no. This is another level.
Really?
I've never struggled so much. Everyone. And
like Frankie Dettori high?
Frankie Dettori on a 17 hands
on red rum.
Red rum Shergar. You know, it is, no, they are super high.
Right.
And you know, the seat, although it's been raised 10 mil, the pegs are even higher, just for ground clearance. You know, this is a race bike, and that's what they've done. But it's so uncomfortable, and I really struggled. That circuit isn't the most, isn't the easiest track. It's so demanding physically, and I struggled really bad with cramp. My quads, just above the knees, had a proper workout, and I can't. In fact, I go as far as to say I've never had that much discomfort from riding a bike.
Really?
Yeah.
Even like Panigale elbow smashes on the tank?
No, it's a different kind of discomfort. I mean, in terms of just how high the pegs are, and you're constantly, you know,
but ground clearance was absolutely fine,
absolutely.
wasn't it? Like, not even a toe down.
No.
So really, you could probably stick some aftermarket rear sets on there and drop
exactly.
it a bit.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to struggle.
You're going to struggle.
What about ABS? Because the Japanese manufacturers have been pretty poor at creating a bike that can actually stop on a race circuit. Are we still in gravel trap turn 1?
For the first time ever, well, since the Honda introduced ABS.
Yeah, it's a linked
Fireblade
brake system disaster, yeah.
I mean, for the first time ever, I didn't feel the ABS kick in once.
Really?
And we were tramping on a bit. And there's no ABS pulse at all. And like I said, it was a bit of a novelty, because when did the ABS come in? 2010, 11? And, you know, praise the Lord.
So that if you were going to do a track day on it, you just leave it on?
Yes, because now you have road and track settings. So the track setting, you know, it's much racier, and the sort of anti-lift at the rear is almost disabled.
So okay,
you can pull a stoppie and it wouldn't kick in. Is
it going to aid you? Has it become an aid rather than a hindrance now?
I think, like with most ABS,
because maybe it did come in, but you just didn't even notice.
Exactly, maybe, but it's that subtle, and I don't care. You know, I don't know the theories and the sort of algorithms behind it. All I do know is I didn't feel it, and I was confident. So
perfect. And
it didn't slow me down. Perfect. And I didn't run on, and it wasn't dangerous.
Yeah.
So, win-win.
Noise, soundage.
I mean,
sounds a bit wispy.
It does sound a bit wispy. Until that VTEC kicks in at like 6-7 grand.
Because when they're going down the straight, it sounded like
loud,
stupid loud.
Oh, they are, and I think that may be an area where we're going to struggle in the UK.
Yeah.
Don't get me started on that one.
No, let's move on.
But it does sound really, really good. It does. I mean, obviously you've got the stadium on the start-finish straight, but there's a row of bikes going by. It sounded like a race bike.
So screen, a little bit small.
I think the whole front end in general is quite small. I mean, does
it feel like a premium product though?
This is, I think for the first time, the Fireblade now feels a little bit more premium again.
Okay.
There's elements. So you look at the front of the bike and the cockpit, and it looks quite RCV-ish.
Yeah.
There's no key, which we'll get to.
Yeah.
It's smart key.
Keyless ride.
Keyless ride.
And it's got a weird nipple on the side. turn it on.
Yes, and I quite like that. It's quite racy. It's quite sort of, Motec-y. But no, I mean the removal of the key barrel allows that extra room for the air intake, which you can fist, which you've probably seen my fisting actions. But in terms of that cockpit, it looks really racy and looks quite not Japanese. It's quite nice.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. And again, the old bike, the electronics were a little bit abrupt and not particularly sophisticated. No. So it sounds like they've elevated that. Exactly.
I mean, I don't think you could really compare the old bike to this one now. It's a massive, massive improvement. Before you didn't really have any confidence in the electronics. Certainly the ABS, the anti-wheelie is quite abrupt. Now it's much smoother and much racier, and I'd say it's as good as the BMW. The traction control is really, really good.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So okay, so talk me through like a typical corner then. So obviously you're tucked in, aero nice.
Yes. Yeah. Surprisingly,
because it looks quite small.
I looked at the screen. I was like, oh god.
Yeah.
I'm really going to struggle. But of course, when you've got a GoPro on your chin, that doesn't help either.
No,
and I tried it without it the last session. There's no problems at all. Like I said, that the whole front end has been dropped, and it looks to the eye, you think there's no way it's going to be comfortable, but it's really, really good. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. So then initial braking phase, just with now I've ridden with aero, you can just smash the brakes on, and it's fine.
And obviously we've got new styling calipers on there.
Oh, is it?
Yes. So you've got the braking power. Now we've got ABS that allows you to kind of
lift the rear wheel, basically.
Lift the rear wheel and brake hard.
Yeah.
So you kind of sort it. And with those forks, like I said, I can't, and you can't, I'm sure, jizz over those forks enough. They
because
are so good.
It's holding up all of that dive.
Yeah.
It's managing the fat load, squashing it in, and it's going, no, okay, a little bit more.
The 16 stone of British sirloin
of beef
pounding that front end. Yeah, but I mean, so from braking, it's now going to be one of the fastest bikes out there. Simple as that.
Right.
In terms of braking, you're up there with the support and the suspension and the wings and everything else. From that point to the apex, it's fantastic.
Right.
And mid corner, it's still, like I said before, it hasn't lost any of that agility.
It's like the confidence mid corner. That's what the old bike was really good at.
Exactly.
Like, I'm set here. I'm happy.
Yeah, and it's exactly the same. Despite all those changes, it's still as good. Yeah.
So throttle application, because again, the older ones were a little.
Yeah, I mean, it's massively different. It's in better, much better. Obviously, it's still quite sensitive in track mode. Right at the high RPM, and you're on the side of the tyre, and you hit bumps, you kind of do get a little bit of
really?
you're not opening the throttle, but the bump's making you sort of.
I had that in a Lamborghini Aventador once.
Well, there you go. Yeah, you can.
It's terrifying. You can't do anything about it. No. It's just the way your body's going. Yeah.
Overall, it's much improved.
Right,
There's a really nice connection with the throttle and to the rear wheel. So, as I said, the electronics are a seismic change.
Okay, so then when you're winding on, so you're coming out the corner, right? That's it.
Yeah.
Lifted the bike up a little bit, bang.
Yeah.
You just straight in.
Yep.
Yeah.
Straight in, balls deep.
BMW style.
Yeah. But I will say, we had a slick on that had done 2 sessions, and after that, we needed to up the traction control.
What slick was it?
It was a Pirelli SC1.
Yeah.
So the Slipperelli characteristics after a few laps, they go. But it's not as predictable as some bikes. So the BMW, for instance, you just ride around it.
Days.
The Honda, it kind of the unpredictability and the sort of the lack of feel.
So would you say it's a bit more like the Aprilia thrives on grip?
Yes,
it's a grip bike.
Definitely. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And as I said, getting on the throttle, and once you're on the straight, and once you pass that £7,000, £7,000. Once you pass that 7,000,
I wish it was £7,000.
Once you pass that 7,000 RPM power band, because it is a power band, you'll be down the straight and you'll be catching anyone. So, yeah.
In the competition, then, you reckon this has got a half decent chance of?
Oh, very much so.
Winning our mega tests.
Very much so. Yeah.
You think it's right up there?
Right up there. Handling wise, I can't see it being beaten.
Wow.
It's as good as the BMW, if not better. The electronics are amazing. I think the only thing that's really going to struggle maybe is the gearing, because it's so fussy. It will be fussy on gearing. So some corners where the BMW and Aprilia will just second, third gear, the Honda will have to use first.
Yeah.
Or you know, have to use second, whereas the other bikes are in third or fourth.
And where we're going as well.
It's technical.
Yeah. Well, we can but wait and see, but overall, sounds like she's a bit of a beaut. She's a bit of a beaut, mate. And 2020 is looking really quite tasty, isn't it? It is looking pretty good. It's looking really quite tasty. Yeah. So if you had to sum the bike up, your little synopsis of the day you spent with it. I mean, if you've jumped on this bike, forget about the looks and what the badge it has on the bike, on the tank. If you jumped on this bike, you think this bike is made by Honda. It's rampant. Okay. It's savage. It's so good. I'm so pleased that Honda have actually gone out and gone, you know what? We'll tear up the gentleman's rule book and go, let's just go balls deep. It's so refreshing.
And just to clarify for the internet, not a single false neutral was in sight.